Well, I'm happy to be here. Not a big fan of mushrooms. I'm not saying that I don't. I'm not saying that I dislike them. I'm just saying my passion is connecting students to internships. So my name is Karen Overclift, and I'm the only Karen Overclift in the United States. Which, if you Google me, you'll see what a nerd I really am. Overklift. And my role here at Miramar College is a consultant to place interns at life science companies in San Diego through the supply chain experience. So I have built up a network over many years. I started, I'm not a scientist, I have a degree in communications from UCSD, and I have been in science education since about 2000. Was sort of voluntold through my volunteer work. I am a passionate volunteer. I volunteer for BWISE, Better Education for Women in Science and Engineering. For Women in Bio SoCal chapter, Young Women in Bio I'm a Young Women in Bio leader. And then with Expanding Your Horizons Conference for Girls. So ladies, if you're not in Women in Bio, you should check it out, student rates, and then you should also join AWIS, Association of Women in Science, or SWE, Society of Women Engineers. But guys, there's things out there for you too. And as background, I'm a connector, so I've been placing interns for many years. It's what I love to do. When I get depressed, I go on LinkedIn and I look at my interns and find out what they're doing. So I've managed programs, everything from internship programs, from getting people into life sciences from middle school, high school, community college, veterans, underserved communities. So it's my pleasure to be here, and I am really looking forward to hearing from these folks here because I've connected all of them to internships, and it's been fun. So with that, I will turn it over to intern number one, Frizzy.
Hi, I'm Frizella, but you can call me Frizzy. I am a NIWIC intern, and I actually have a presentation for you guys. I'm going to stand so we can see it.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to just... So a little bit about my background. I was a marketing director at Chick-fil-A, and then around that time, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and like many, I lost my job, and that had me reevaluating my job security. And then during that time as well, though it was really scary and tragic what was happening during that time, a lot of us did take that time to be creative, bake sourdough bread, and pursue all those kinds of hobbies. For me, I was obsessively watching biology videos, and then eventually I was like, hey, why not go back to school and pursue that? So I went to pursue my AS in biological sciences, and through that I was introduced to the STEM mentorship program with Dr. Madrock. She recommended the summer Biotech program to me, and I applied and got in last summer, where I took Bio 132 with Professor L, Biology 136 with Dr. Bowers, and I did resume building with Dr. Slivka. Next slide. And from there, I really fell in love with biotechnology. I didn't even know it was an option, and I remember my mentor saying, like, well, what do you want to do with your degree in biological sciences? And I was like, what are my options? And she was like, well, have you considered biotechnology? And I was like, no, I haven't. So it was a blessing for me because we have a really big industry here in San Diego, which I learned through the program. So we were able to tour NIWIC and BioLegend through that program as well, which really opened my eyes to the different opportunities that we have here at Miramar. And then I pivoted and I was like, I'm gonna get my AS in biotechnology instead, and which I acquired this spring. Through that also I got hired at Catalent as a lab coordinator, and I began the NIWIC internship as well. So you might be wondering what NIWIC is. So we have several locations. There's San Diego, Pearl City, Hawaii, Yokosuka, Japan, and Santa Rita, Guam. And actually, those other locations besides San Diego, they're online, but we still collaborate with them. So NIWIC is the Naval Information Warfare Center, And essentially what we do is it's very focused on the warfighter. So everything that with technology, all the work we do in the lab, it's geared towards helping our military. Next slide. This is us on our first day for the internship. So our internship lasts until next week actually. So we started on June 10th. We were assigned mentors and internship cohorts based on your resume and your little info packet about you. So the job duties for me specifically, because they actually have a separate mentor. I personally worked in a clean room all the time. I don't know if any of you have experienced doing cell culturing yet. In 133. It's a little similar to that. Micropipetting, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. You do that all day, every day. Collecting samples in field work, analyzing the data from those samples, a lot of glassware and lab cleaning, and different, because I work with trace metals, so we have a thing called clean hands, dirty hands, which is a very specific way of handling things in the lab so that there's no contamination. And saying hello to the sea lions, because I work out in the docks all day. So I get to say hi to those. Really, they're pretty much like puppies, honestly. They're always barking, like you can hear them from up in the lab. Yeah. Next slide. So some of the skills that I was able to apply being in the biotech program, micropipetting speaks for itself. It's kind of second nature at that point. First stop, second stop, all that. Dr. Bauer's class actually helped me a lot because I work in the industry and we're GMP everything. So notebooking skills and just reading your SOPs, following SOPs. Lab safety was a really big thing when I was being interviewed also. They wanted to make sure you were aware of how to dispose of waste properly, your PPE, and data analysis. Being able to take all the data that you collected from your field work, your samples, and putting it into Excel and making charts and graphs and being able to present it and explain what your findings. Next slide. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me through email as well. And that's it.
Ooh, extra mic.
I will use this because I tend to speak a little bit low. My name is Lisa Olson, and I wanted to start off saying thank you so much to Dr. Bowers, to Karen, Dr. Snipes, Dr. Hurley, who's not here, Dr. Sotka, all the faculty for having the biotechnology program. It has changed my life, and thank you. I have, well, number one, I'm an adult learner returning to college. I've been in retail for the past 20 plus years, and I initially, when I first went to college back in the late 90s, I was a science major, and for various sundry reasons, I didn't stay with science. I switched to humanities degrees, and graduated with 2 humanities degrees in 2001, and went into retail. And my opportunity to come back into the sciences is really a full circle moment to complete a dream that I had given up on initially. And so I returned to school in 2017 as first a psychology major, transitioned to a biology major, and chugging along, working on my education while I worked full time. Then the pandemic hit, and like everybody here, that turned life upside down. So with that, the reason I was studying biology, I wanted to get into studying neuroscience, and then with the threat of the pandemic, that really shifted my priorities and my goals to want to study, human health. What are those threats out there to us, and what can we do to mitigate that? And through various searches for different school programs that are more specific than just general biology, I found the Miramar Biotech program, and I was initially commuting 1 day a week from Palm Springs, where I live in Coachella Valley. Dr. Bowers is shaking her head. Commuting from Palm Springs 1 day a week to here at Miramar to take the lab portion of Bio 131, and then the rest was online. And I'm just, again, grateful that Dr. Bowers was able to help me and guide me and adjust to my schedule, and also my work schedule accommodated me to have that set time off. And then, Bio 131 finished up, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to come down here at summer. It's summer school. There's no way I can do that commute. So I was in Dr. Bowers' office quite a bit, asking for advice or emailing her, should I do this? Should I not do this? And, her answer every single time is, just do it. and she was so, she was right, she gave me that faith and that push to do these classes, accelerated programs that I just didn't think I could do. And of course, there was also that background that I had with low confidence. I don't know if you ladies have had that experience where, number one, we're not well represented in STEM yet, and also growing up with that, family socialization. And I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent, but just, where ladies don't do science, we don't do math, we don't get our hands dirty in the lab, we become teachers or, childcare, whatever that old stereotypical thought is. And just having somebody that I could turn to in an unofficial mentor capacity and help me get out of my own way and just push myself, and having that challenge, finding that I could do it, and that's helped my confidence so much. And I really want to say also thank you, Karen, for connecting us with the NIWIC internship, because this has tremendously boosted my confidence in my abilities as a future scientist and as a biotech student. So anyways, I did the summer 132, 136 accelerated programs. A lot of you raised your hand saying that you were doing those programs right now. Took the ASQ CQIA test, thank you, with the certificate of being a quality associate, and that's been a great credential to have. And then started the 133 program fall of last year, graduated with my associates in biotechnology at the end of December last year. And again, it's changed my life, with getting this internship. Again, this thought, here I'm an adult learner, coming back to school. I will have graduated by the time the 2024 internship rolls around. I'm not going to have that chance. And I ended up having that chance. So please, the biggest thing, if you come away from what I'm talking about, is don't sell yourself short. Try for these programs, please. You don't know where it's going to lead you. And so what it's led me to now is I've applied at Catalab, where Frizzy works, and great benefit having somebody that in an industry, having that connection, but also, having this program. When I went into my first phone interview, I said, graduated with Miramar Biotech program, and the recruiter said immediately, oh, I know that program. I know the skills you guys come away with. And then with the NIWIC internship, mentioning those skills and having that lab experience, and it literally cut my interview short by 10 minutes, because I had answered all those questions just by saying, I had this Miramar experience, I have the NIWIC experience. And that there's that trust that I have capacity to do the job I'm going to be asked to do at Catalan. So I'm super excited about that. Really have been trying for years to transition out of the retail world. Retail's been great for me, but it's not satisfying. I'm wanting something that's challenges my mind, and this is it. And being here and how my life's unfolded since I made that leap of coming down to Miramar has opened so many doors, and I'm so grateful. The research I am working on at NIWIC, and thank you to Frizzy for that great presentation, because I showed up unprepared like that. But what I've been working on is a nanopore sequencer, DNA sequencer, and taking the device from ground level with no set protocol in my lab, set this new piece of equipment, doing research on how the machine operates, how I need to prepare my samples. Because like say in Bio 132, we do a lot of column filtration for DNA samples. This is an entirely different protocol. Knowing that, knowing my correct reagents to prepare the DNA so it feeds through the nanopores, it's been quite the process, and really taking that foundational knowledge I've had here at Miramar to like really understanding how does DNA work, how do we sequence it, what are we looking at, how do we prepare it, how do we use our bioinformatics information to figure out what kind of organism am I looking at, and again that support, the ultimate goal for the supporting the warfighter, how are we integrating this technology at NIWIC to support the warfighter. You know, say we have divers who are going to be getting into the water, can we tell them right then and there with this portable sequencing device, do they need to have additional PPE before they get into the water? Or if, say, bases, military bases are properly managing their watershed, multiple applications, and it just, the internship's been the highlight of my summer. I am so happy, and it's been, even with the, you know, all the roadblocks and challenges and bumps I've had trying to get this sequencer off the ground. I'm hoping I loaded a sample last night. I want to get to the lab after here, hoping I actually have usable data. So it's coming around, but just that whole experience of going from the ground up and understanding this and being part of that work to get this piece of equipment integrated into the lab, it's wonderful. I'm so happy. So again, thank you for coming to listen to us, and then also take that time to say thank you to all the work that the faculty here and Karen does for this program. It's a lot of background work to get people where they're at and got me where I'm at. So thank you.
Thank you a lot. That's awesome. I also want to start off saying thank you to Karen and Dr. Bowers and Tracy and you know, the previous teachers and stuff. They're all pretty awesome here. And sometimes I'm a pain in the ass. I want to apologize for that, but it happens. I pretend it's not just me. So anyways, I, as you guys heard me talking earlier, I'm planning on becoming a CEO of my own biotech company someday, and so that's why I'm in the program, which causes me to be also taking business classes at the same time. And by the way, I'm actually substituting one of the classes for the that's required for the associate's degree. There's a communications class required for that. I am substituting a business communication class for that. You can do that. You can work with Dr. Bowers. The community college will work with you. So if you want to change up your degree to make it more fitting to you, as long as it's reasonable, they will work with you, which is pretty cool. So as far as the NIWIC works, it's on the Navy base. They have multiple Navy bases. The one that I'm currently working on is over off of Rosecrans. If, in Point Loma, if you follow Rosecrans until it ends, it becomes Navy. And that's where we're at. Which luckily enough, I live there, so I actually can take my bike. And so far, nobody has hit me. It's good. All right. So yeah, for our lab, we were assigned in a non-classified lab. This actually, the program, I brought some flyers, so people can actually either take one or take pictures of it, stuff like that. So they actually have direct hire from their internship program, which is a really big deal. A lot of places you'll have an internship and then hope it looks good on your resume, see you later. They will actually hire, and in fact, the lab that we're in, almost all their employees that aren't their main employees, that aren't like the one who runs the lab, are from previous internships. And in fact, yesterday we got taken out to lunch at a fancy sushi place because it was the last day for one of our previous interns who got hired. She has now got a job for the border patrol. Yeah, so pretty cool. She's going to be doing CSI type forensics. Go Annalisa. So yeah, there's a lot of different paths that your biotech can take you, and there's a lot you can do with it. So you can not just work at a regular biotech place like one of the companies and stuff, which of course you should definitely check out. But you can also do a lot. The DoD actually has a lot, and it's not necessarily even just being like I'm going to be helping people do war stuff. Although some of that is. But in this case, we're actually in a water testing lab. And so everybody needs clean water everywhere you go. And in fact, even on military bases, they have a federal requirement to maintain certain environmental protocols. And so literally one of the first things I did starting at this lab is we went to Camp Pendleton on a hot day and collected water samples from weird, hard-to-reach ditches all over Camp Pendleton. I only got one tick on me. That was pretty good. I was like proud because I thought it was gonna be more. I was crawling around all kinds of places. And but it was really cool because then we took them back to the lab, and what they do is they take samples from all these other places and then they cultivate these samples, which is where I got to come in. And then they run DNA samples on these looking for environmental DNA to be able to sequence all these and identify what's all in the water. And they're specifically mostly looking for contaminants and pathogens. So that's really cool. And in fact, the main model organism they've had me working with is E. coli 0157, which we have a very old Russian microbiologist who maintains all of our cool samples for us. So there's a lot of personality here. It's pretty cool. So they actually basically, for our particular lab, we only have like a few people in our lab because they're the direct hire lab. They're not just bringing in 1 million interns. Now this program is actually really big. They have 10 different schools in it this year. And they have people coming from Guam, they have people coming in from Florida, and most of them are all like undergraduates who are all like teenagers who are all in big programs from around the country. So it was really cool. You got to meet and network with a lot of different people. Places that I haven't lived for years. Suddenly I was sitting next to a guy from UTSA because I used to live in San Antonio. And it was pretty cool. We got to chat. And now I have a friend who does bioengineering over in Texas. That's pretty cool. So it's a great networking thing. As far as this goes, it's a huge program. But for us locals, you're pretty likely to actually get a job. So it's definitely a worthy program to check out. And in fact, I don't know about the pay because I haven't been hired yet, guys. I can report back. I'll let you know. Okay, but I can tell you they direct hire, and because it's military, they actually have a pretty decent funding, and they have benefits and all that kind of cool stuff. And once you have a GS code as somebody who's working for the government, then actually you can move from lab to lab too. So you have a lot of freedom to actually have this job for a long time. And if you don't start off doing a project that you're interested in, you can move to another lab once you're in the system. So there's a lot of upward mobility and a lot of opportunity offered in this. And of course, since we have the military all over the place here in San Diego, you have a likelihood of actually getting assigned to a base eventually that is closer to wherever it is you're wanting to live too. So there's a lot of opportunities here, and so definitely check out the NIWIC internship. Just saying, it's just practical and it's awesome. You know, there we go. And don't let the security clearance throw you off.
That is an inside joke. Let me tell you.
There's a lot of background investigation for that, but it's not that scary. It just takes a long time. Have patience. But once you've got it, now you have on your resume that you have a security clearance, which also can help you get jobs too. So it's all good. It's win-win. There we go. Yeah, so make sure to check it out. And you guys have a lot of opportunities, so make sure to take full advantage.
This one or you want that one? I think I'll take this one. So I'll let you have this one. Can you guys hear me okay? So my name's Anna, and I started here last fall, just took biology course, and then I took biology 132 and 136 in the fall. I'm sorry, in the, what was it, January, February? Spring, thank you. Haven't had my coffee yet this morning. And I just finished up my internship at Pfizer. So I was kind of hesitant to switch jobs, basically. I have a bachelor's degree all the way from 2004 in graphic design. did that for a few years, and worked retail, and for the last 10 years I was actually a barber. So of course COVID hit, and a lot of us were out of jobs during that time. Doing in-home haircuts and things like that still wasn't sustainable. And because of health concerns with my father and things like that, I started looking into going into healthcare. My sister's a nurse, my niece is a nurse, my father has his doctorate where he worked in hospitals, like did the networks, actually computer stuff for hospitals. So I was like, okay, let me stop avoiding this and, you know, try something within the medical field, because it's something that's run in our family for a long time. So I started out as a phlebotomist, and that just kind of fueled me towards going into biotech. I didn't know if that would be the direction that I wanted to go into or not, and that's why I just started out with biology course, and especially at my age, I didn't know if I'd be able to keep up with everybody else, since a lot of people are half my age in the classes. So I got through that. I skinned by through my biology 132 class, and I want to keep going. So I figured I'm going to go ahead and go for my certificate in biotech. Maybe I'll get my second BA in biotech, we'll see. But so that's a little bit of background. I've just kind of been all over the board, but why I really wanted to go ahead and take the Pfizer internship is because it so happened to be in the oncology department, working under a senior scientist. And my father just passed away last year from prostate cancer. And so that kind of fueled, you know, it lit a fire under my butt to get moving and to do something to help people, not just feel better because of how they look, but actually from the inside out. So I absolutely love it there at Pfizer. Everybody there was very welcoming, really nice. The culture there is amazing. They have various programs for people as far as equality. They celebrate pride. They celebrate diversity amongst different ethnicities. They have food truck Wednesdays. They have a cafeteria there, and it doesn't matter where you go on the campus. Right now they have 4 different buildings. Everybody is always nice to say hi and to talk to, and it's pretty laid back and nice, and everybody's like down to earth. That being said, there are 4 things that they believe in. The first thing is courage, and it's having breakthroughs by challenging convention. They also believe in excellence, changing patients' lives by performing their best together. Equality, every person deserves to be seen, heard, and cared for. And joy, they find joy when they take pride in their work by helping others. The other thing about their culture too is even within the labs, they had signs hanging above like the doorways and things like that of faces of patients who they've helped, and a quote with, you know, them thanking Pfizer for all that they've done. They also have like various clubs as far as like hiking clubs. There's a D&D club, Dungeons and Dragons. So it's like there's something for everybody there, regardless of what your interests are. And they definitely foster that. They also send out regular emails throughout the day where you can connect with other people, see what people all the way on the other side of the globe are doing and what's coming up, and you know what they're working on or what new breakthroughs they've had, or even just like personal pictures. People send pictures of their dog out camping for the weekend or hiking and things like that. So you really do get a sense of family being there and being connected with others, even though they're all the way on the other side of the earth. So I got to intern under a senior scientist. He's in the oncology, biochemistry, and quantitative pharmacology. He focused on enzymology, proteomics, and drug design. The skills from here that I got, just from the Bio 132, was definitely how to use Excel. centrifuging, micropipetting, multi-channel pipetting, buffer preparation, creating standard curves before we actually do our experiments, creating dilutions from stock, whether it's the proteins we're using or the protease or even the buffers. Of course, the standard operating procedures, good laboratory practices, aseptic technique, assay development. And so what I got to work on mostly was testing particular proteins to see where we could use drugs to intervene with cancer, so to inhibit cancer growth. Those were specifically for prostate and also for melanoma cancer. So how to do identification and characterization of proteins. So the proteins that I was able to work with was FANCM, which facilitates the DNA repairs. Loss of it can contribute to cancer and anemia. Also work with CAT2A, which plays a role in DNA replication, expression and regulation through the acetylation of histones, and we work specifically with the H3 histones. And then CAT7, which is pretty much the same thing as the CAT2A. Another one that I worked with was a CDK4, which is crucial in the cell cycle from the G1 to the S phase. I don't know if you guys have studied that yet. I'm sure you, I'm guessing you have. And then there's the BRPF2 protein, which it regulates the chromatin within the cell, influencing the gene expression by going in and modifying histones. So the digestive enzymes that we used for those proteins was trypsin, chymotrypsin, and glu-C. And then also used the acetyl-CoA and CoA. Their molecules used as a oh my gosh. I can't.
Biomolecular.
Okay. And assessing therapeutic responses. So I also got to learn the different uses for the buffers to stabilize the pH. And for example, like using calcium chloride 2 for the trypsin and chymotrypsin when adding it later on to create the reaction. But for the glu-C, we added ammonium bicarbonate instead, because it's more stable, and you can't combine the two together, otherwise it affects the proteins and the proteases in certain ways. So that was real interesting to learn as well. Also worked with DNA oligonucleotides that I used with ATP, and that was to initiate the reaction as well. Formic acid to quenching the reaction, and then once I did that, we used the rapid fire mass spectrum to put the proteins through and find out the sizes and the weight of those molecules. That was the thing that I loved the most. Is I'm more of a hands-on person. I'm neurodivergent, and so for me, actually doing things hands-on, I learn much better than reading from a book or studying. I like getting in there and like actually doing things is a lot easier for me. So going to this internship was just amazing. I actually got to use the RF mass spec and learned how to do it and was able to run it by myself before I left there. The other thing is the MALDI. So the MALDI, see what it stands for. Matrix assisted laser desorption and ionization. So with that, what would happen is we take specific proteins, we'd run them through these columns and clean them out and get all the sulfides and things out of there, all the background noise, all the garbage off of the proteins. Once we do that, then we would actually use a metal plate and mix the proteins with the matrix, place it on there, heat the plate so it crystallized, so that sample would crystallize what's on the plate, and then we'd load it into the MALDI. And then inside the MALDI, it would actually zoom in like up to it was tiny, like it was great, because these dots are like 2 millimeters wide, so we're actually just using a total of 1 microliter when actually putting samples onto this plate. And then the laser goes in and it ionizes those proteins, the samples on there, and it can read based off of the reaction of the laser onto that matrix and the sample, where those proteins have been cut, and then that gives us information on how we can use that with certain drugs later on. That was really interesting because, I mean, it's just a whole process. There's like 5 different programs in there to actually read the information and things like that. But it was so interesting, and definitely wouldn't have gotten that experience here at school. But having the foundation from the classes helped me to understand better what exactly I was doing and the outcomes, and being able to, you know, write up my findings in the end for that. Another one that I watched was the QTOF. That one was kind of clunky and it's not used as often. And I honestly didn't grasp that one as much. But with the mass spec, a lot of the samples would come in on Fridays from R&D, and then we would actually put our samples within there and we'd run it through the mass spec, and it would tell us like which samples that were actually working. So which ones were actually inhibiting. Thank you. The cancer cells. So it was great just being able to see hands-on like all of these things that are going through the process right now. And hopefully we'll get, you know, recognized by FDA here in a few years, however long that's going to take. So it's just been a really great experience, and I definitely used everything that I learned. Excel is, I'm definitely going to take that class just to understand it better. But that was something that is used every single day, was the Excel spreadsheets to put in all the factors, and also were used to write our SOPs or add on to the SOPs that we have as well. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Is that mic good or? Okay. Yeah. I mean, I could hear you. Okay. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Dr. Bowers especially, and Dr. Slivka, who helped host, well, during the course that I took and then afterwards, getting into an internship. And thank you to everybody else that came to speak. It was really, really cool to hear everything that you guys have, that brought you to the program and then where you've gone from there. So my background was actually, I got a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, and then I also studied Sociology and Music. Initially I was thinking I would go on to do music therapy, but I took a really long time to graduate and needed a break from school. So I went abroad for a year and then came back, and then it was the recession in 2008, 2009. So I got a job as a behavioral tutor for children on the spectrum, which was good to have a job, but I was underemployed and kind of seeking to transition into something else. And around that time, under the Obama administration, there was a free tuition for different STEM certificate programs. And so through Miramar College, I was able to get the certificate of performance in taking the early, I honestly don't remember what the specific classes are, but the early bio classes and then the biotechnology, the applied biotechnology classes. and got my certificate there. And then during that time, I also was able to apply for the CIRM, or California Institute for Regenerative Medicine, internship to do stem cell research. And so I got into that program, and I worked in the stem cell core at Sanford Burnham. And then I was hired on from there to be a research associate, kind of helping maintain the lab, and I helped a lot of the postdocs with their research, that because they would have to come into the lab to do their cell culturing. And then following that, I made the jump into industry, and I worked for a small drug discovery company called Inception Sciences for 6 years. Moved to a bigger company, Biotech, for a couple years in their high throughput cell culturing department. Their focus is mainly in cystic fibrosis, so I was doing a lot of cell culturing from lung transplants from different patients with cystic fibrosis, and that was really cool. They have a lot of insane automation, like automatic plate feeders, and just a lot of different mechanisms, which I have to say also break down all the time. So that was a little frustrating. But then during the pandemic, it was a little bit hard for me to I was one of the core employees, so I had to be there in the lab all the time, and it was a little bit hard for me to be around other people and potentially being exposed to COVID. And then I got an opportunity from a person that I had worked with before at Inception Sciences to come to another smaller company, and that's where I am right now, where Lawson Therapeutics, where Andy also works. And it's an antibody drug discovery company, and my role now is senior research associate too, and I basically help design experiments, optimize them, and do screening on patient cells and patient tissue for our disease indication, and just moving forward with all the endpoint assays like PCR, ELISA, some Western blots, some flow cytometry, imaging. So it's been a while since I've been in the class, but I mean, after hearing what you guys have done, and I ask Andy every day, what did you do in school today? So everything that I learned in the applied biotech class, I utilize, especially, unfortunately, all the math. But yeah, just writing SOPs. I kept my lab notebook and the texts from the applied biotech classes with me and used them all the time in my CIRM internship, and then, the years following that. So I can't say enough how much the program has changed my life for the better, and it's just been such a game changer. And I actually decided that I have been able to move up just in industry the more years of experience I have, and I've been given a lot of opportunities to kind of move up, but I still feel like there's more general biology that I want to go back and focus on, which is hard to do when you have a full-time job. So I actually just got into a master's program in England to do biotechnology and bioengineering, and Dr. Bowers was really nice enough to give me a reference letter for that and help me through that process. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that and then coming back and seeing where I can go from there.
Thank you. Well, we do have 10 more minutes, and I know you guys have been sitting for a long time, and I hope you have some questions, but in my many years of doing this, I have a couple of things that I do want to stress. Obviously, internships will get you places, and they will teach you just as much about what you don't want to do as what you do want to do. And you can get internships. Just to let you know what an internship geek I am, my daughter just graduated from UC Santa Cruz, and she is currently at Department of Energy internship through the Mickey Leland Fellowship, And she's in Morgantown, West Virginia, studying carbon sequestration. And please don't ask me what that is. But,
I know what that is.
But anyway, to get to that point, the poor child, she counted, and I sent her 72 different internship options. 72. Not that I'm pushing internships, Mike, but I was determined. She did her first internship in high school, unpaid. But anyway, her current internship, and these guys have great internships too, is she gets a great stipend. She gets wonderful luxury housing that's paid for. She gets travel that is paid for. She gets mentorship with multiple mentors. She gets opportunities to go, and she's presenting twice next week at 2 different conferences, and she's gotten grant funding to go to at least 6 different conferences, and she's an earth science major, and she studies rocks. So, I mean, it's really specific, but these internships can take you any place you want to go with hard work. And her first internship was at the San Diego Library, and she with the city of San Diego, and she studied sex trafficking through this program called Out of the Shadows. And so she was desperately afraid to even talk to the pizza guy on the phone to order pizza from the place that we've been ordering pizza for 20 years. She'd just rather not eat. Like, seriously, hated talking to people, hated talking on the phone. And then here she was in this internship where she's supposed to research this thing that she doesn't know anything about and then talk to teens about it. And she hated it. So, obviously went in a different direction. Her next internship was with AWIS, Association of Women in Science, and where she got to be an introvert and write things. And so she went from different place to place to place, but definitely seek out those internships. And now, with her internship, she basically, with this internship, her bosses are telling her now, where do you want to go? What state do you want to work in? Do you want to work in industry? Do you want to work in government? Do you want to go to grad school? Do you want to get a PhD? You pick where you want to go, and we'll know someone who can support you in that journey. And that just blows my mind as a connector too, that she worked her little tail off and did really well. But one of the things that she did was fail hard. You were talking about the math. She's not going to be happy that I'm sharing this, but she flat out failed calculus and had to retake it, and then squeaked by with a C. And then the same thing, her thing is rocks, and she had this mineralogy class at UC San Diego, or UC Santa Cruz, and she had to memorize 400 rocks. But she also had a life and a paid internship as a financial advisor in the Slug Sense office at UC Santa Cruz, and then another internship categorizing samples, and she just didn't put enough effort into it, and she flunked the mineralogy class. So when she went to get this internship, they said, tell us about mineralogy and what you know. And she's like, well, I'm retaking it right now. And then she demonstrated that she was retaking it and what she was doing to pass the class. And she's using all that knowledge from her mineralogy class in her internship. So when they're saying that, you're going to use these internship skills, you will use these skills. And what I was telling the group earlier is that this isn't just, I'm all for UCs. I went to a UC, but this is stuff that you can really, really apply right away in the workforce. And the way Becca gets these skills and things, obviously there's a base that's been built over years and years and years, but things change and things are added. And she has an industry advisory board of over 50 people who are in industry in San Diego. And so they look at the curriculum and they say, oh, you should add this, or you should take this out, or that's obsolete, so this curriculum is up to date. It's the best that you could get. So, everyone's saying thank you, but you really are lucky, and I hope you do take full advantage of this. The other thing is, Excel. Excel is not my friend. I always say that I'm really good at hiring people who know Excel, and that is true. But through watching a lot of interns, I will say Excel is an invaluable skill in any job that you do. I use Excel every day. I don't like it. I copy a lot of things. I'm very slow. I'm better than I was. I've taken classes. It doesn't help. But hopefully you're not like me. But so do take Excel. Work on Excel. The next thing that I want to say about this particular position and about biotech in general is you hop. You go from place to place to place, as you heard. But, everybody's here was saying that their lives were changed because of the pandemic, and I'm sure that was a lot of folks, but many people in biotech were sort of in a holding pattern and didn't get laid off. I mean, I, for one, didn't miss a day. They just shifted us from home, and my job shifted 100% to online, and I was online for 3 years. But I never missed a day of work, I never missed a day of salary, never, those benefits. And so when you're working for a biotech company, I always say, I would rather be emptying the trash in a biotech company that's working to cure cancer or keep the United States safe, or, Vertex working on, cancer drugs, cystic fibrosis. I mean, that company's amazing. So there's so many great companies out there, and you can just keep going in different directions. Nobody has a straight career path. So, Excel, internships, this biotech program, and then just make those connections. I love connecting people to opportunities, and just seek out those opportunities. I now, in my job, I don't work exclusively with STEM, and so someone said, I need someone to come to San Diego City College and do a workshop on portfolios. I'm like, what's a portfolio? Well, it's what graphic designers use to, show their work and to get jobs. And that's the exact, I looked it up, like I had to look it up on the computer, I don't know what that is. And so I remember that in my office where I worked previously, I was at Biocom for 12 years, and then I was at Sanford Burnham also for 10 years. And that the person who had an office across from me was our creative director. And she and I were the only ones that would get to work at 6 a.m. and really, haggle over coffee because we hated the traffic. It's another thing about biotech. In that job I could come to work, and my job now, I can come to work anywhere between 6 and 10 a.m. It doesn't matter, it's up to me. I can be in the office, out of the office, but that's another story. But so I called Arlene, I haven't talked to her in 5 years. I said, Arlene, I need someone to, do portfolios for San Diego City College students. And she's like, oh my gosh, well, have you heard of the, of course you've talked to IGDA or IA, whatever, International Association of Graphic Designers. She's like, they have a really strong chapter in San Diego, and of course I'm a member, but one of my friends is on the board and she's about to retire and she would love to come and teach. And so she basically gave me her phone number and then sent her a text saying that I was going to call, and then I made a phone call, and she's a really nice lady and she's very knowledgeable, and she came in, like literally came to the school and taught the students, and now she's going to come back on an annual basis. But you just never know. And then when I was on the phone with Arlene, she was saying that she bought this really old house and was having trouble with plumbing, and I'm like, oh, my neighbor across the street has been a plumber for 40 years, and his specialty is old houses. And so I connected her with the plumber, and so now everybody's happy. So, you just never know where you're going to find those connections, but, keep making those connections. And now I hope that you'll use this last few minutes to ask questions. As I said, I'm easy to find, and I'm happy to help with internships. Can't recommend those DoD internships enough, of course. I sent that information to Becca just yesterday. I'm sure you'll get it eventually, but please do ask questions of our group, and feel free to connect with me. I'm on LinkedIn 24/7. So right now, after this, I'm a person who loves her job, but I do this as a consulting thing on the side, and if I could ever turn it into something full-time, I would just do this full-time because I love it. But anyway, so ask away, ask questions. Yes?
How many internships are there offered in the fall and spring and summer? Is it like year-round?
With the supply chain experience, there's 20 or 10 internships in each summer. And that has been going on for the past 4 or 5 years? 4 years. So we've placed interns at all kinds of different companies.
Cool. But are they offered in the fall or spring?
Nope, just in the summer for this particular program.
You apply during the fall or the spring, and then you have it during the summer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I just got accepted to be a CERM intern. And I had the opportunity to work at Sanford Burnham as well. I was just wondering, what specifically did you research at Sanford Burnham when you were a CERM intern?
So we're all supposed to have our research projects, I would say because I ended up in the stem cell core, it was different than working in a specific postdoc lab. So my project was kind of more of a placeholder. I honestly don't remember. It had something to do with differentiating stem cells into embryoid bodies and then optimizing ways of freezing them. And then, but the needs of the stem cell core became more focused on different ways to reprogram human dermal fibroblasts into back into induced pluripotent stem cells, iPSCs. So I was doing retroviral, lentiviral transfections, and then ended up doing electroporation using the Invitrogen Neon. And so basically a lot of different people would come to us, I would reprogram their cells, and then do a series of differentiating them into the 3 different germlines, and basically proving, okay, they're fully induced stem cells. So honestly, it was the best case scenario for me because I didn't feel like I was pigeonholed. I got to be just surrounded by people doing a whole bunch of different projects. I kind of wish that I was included in any of their publications, which I wasn't, but yeah, it was a really good experience, and I liked, I don't know, I'm kind of a people pleaser, I like being helpful, and so it kind of catered to that, which is why I ended up staying on as a research associate and basically just assisting the lab manager and continuing to help out in different labs.
Nice.
But if you want any more recommendations, I'm happy to talk to you more about it.
Thank you.
All right, I think we're out of time. I will give a plug to Sanford Burnham, even though they fired me, and I was there for 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
It was the worst thing that ever happened to me and the best thing that ever happened to me, but they don't advertise their internships other than the CERN internships. So they typically have around 50 interns there every summer. They are not paid. So the CERN program is special, but if you if you can afford the luxury of an unpaid internship, it's very simple. You simply look at their webpage, find a professor whose research you're interested in, demonstrate that you have taken some time to research it, or maybe go listen to a talk there. 80% of success is showing up, and so just go see what they're doing. And you can email the professors, and they may ignore your email, they may not. But if you, if you show interest and if you're passionate about what you do, I'm thinking of one professor, Hudson Freeze, who's still there. He does congenital disorders of glycobiology, and he's the first person I ever met at Sanford Burnham. And when I went there, I was a temp. I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. I was there for 10 years. After my first day, I told my mom, I'm going to make a position here, and I did. But first thing I had to do was get HUD to sign a piece of paper. Go in, and he's this really gregarious, famous scientist, and I'm like, and I said, what's glycobiology, and he just, woof, into this whole 15-minute explanation about how it's an orphan disease, and he's helping kids, and all this stuff, and I was just blown away by the passion that he has, and he's one of those people that takes interns every year. He took one of our supply chain interns, and she loved it. So, you can find your own opportunities just by, if you can afford it, for the unpaid internships, just by reaching out directly to people, and then by having other people connect you to people. So, from right now, I'm saying, there's Hud Freeze. I just saw him at an event a couple weeks ago, and same thing. I was like, okay, do you remember when in 2010 you were throwing out the first pitch for the Padre game, and I fielded your pitches? Do you remember that? Because talk about doing what's not part of your job. I did that, and it's not very good, but he's a great scientist. But anyway, so he was like, oh yeah, I totally remember. So it was the last minute for those internships, and this is, I did run into him last week, but this was a few years ago. And so I was like, I need a favor. I need an intern from the supply chain program. She needs to start next week. I really need a spot right now. And so she went in and she talked to his lab manager, and boom, like, it happened. So as I say, you know, Sanford Burnham is a wonderful place. She worked in what's called a shared resource or a shared service office. So it's something that provides a service for all of the different labs. So when I was there, they had 43 different labs. I mean, I don't know how many labs, I don't remember, but they had labs with people from 43 different countries. And so that's what I liked about being there, is just the research and all the great people who were
Yeah.
passionate about what they did.
There are a lot of Europeans
Yeah.
in the building, and so they set up an espresso machine out in the hall right outside the stem cell core, so that was another perk of working there. A lot of little espresso breaks.
So anyway, if you want tips about finding your own internship, I'm happy to help with that too. I think that's the way to go if you can. I mean, obviously, if you can't get a paid internship through the supply chain program, and I can help you out, I'm happy to tell you how to do it yourself. But thanks, you guys. You've been so attentive. We really, really, really appreciate it. Have a great day. Go interns.
Any other questions? So I'm just gonna make a quick statement. So the four, Frizzy, Lisa, Wendy, and Anna, they are all part of the DSEC internship program. That has been DoD funded, and those have been 150 hours of training, essentially, at their sites. And some of them have started, and Anna, I know you started a little earlier than everyone else, but typically we are starting to recruit for those in this early spring. Honestly, typically we recruit from the group that's here. So the DSEC students, either the Bio 132s or the 136s, our supply chain experience students as well. And then Shira was part of the CERM stem cell research program, and we are a partner in that with Cal State San Marcos, Palomar College, Mount San Jacinto. Those are year-long paid internships. So there are two different types of internships, and those are two opportunities. A third opportunity that we are a partner with is with MiraCosta's excellent internship program. We currently have 2 students placed in 400-hour internships that are paid as well through scholarship funding through MiraCosta, so we're a partner in that. In addition, you'll find, if you aren't already, and I've talked to most of the students about this, but if you are able to get into the Canvas page for the STEM ACP, right, Academic and Career Pathways, we oftentimes have many internships there. So I just wanted to kind of clarify and give you a plug for that to make sure that you're monitoring that. As biotech students, you end up on a distribution list. My email distribution list goes out often with employment opportunities and internship opportunities and anything that might be of interest to you. So just wanted to make sure you understand all the different internship opportunities that we either partner with or are connected to with other institutions and funding. Okay? Anything else? Any other questions? Awesome. Would you mind stop recording? Cool.